And so indeed it is. So I wonder what Spirit has in store for us today. I never know. I think I do, because one prepares, and then Spirit has its own idea of what we need to be as a collective focused on. And I liked today's Season for Nonviolence thought to ponder. I think there is a great deal within you and within me that can make the difference if we would just release it into the world. It's amazing the amount of power you have and the capacity that you have to influence. Each and every one of us is an influencer. We hear people say, oh, they're a great influencer in the world. Everyone is a great influencer in the world. And we want to do that consciously, deliberately. So watch those thoughts of yours as they run around in your head, driving you crazy at times, depleting your energy at times. Don't let that happen. You don't have to. Because that's not what the light within you is for. It's to illuminate. It's to expand. It's to advance all life. Not just yours, but all life. And as it is with you, so it is with the world. And we have had many, many old and new stories of that, you know. What can I expect when I go to that city? Well, what did you expect in the city you were in, and what did you experience? Oh, it was dreadful, it was horrible. So, oh, well, you get more of that in there. And the reverse. Yes, we are all super influencers. Because there's no such thing as my only life, because I am an integral part of all of life. So whatever I'm influencing here can be felt over there. We have a huge responsibility to the sacredness of ourselves. We daresn't forget, and especially in these times we daresn't forget. There's too much of consequence and importance going on right now to forget anything that's of import, to forget anything that is good. I was doing some reading this morning, and a couple of things here struck me in the two books I was reading from. Now, I don't know if you know Brother Lawrence of mine. I really do like Brother Lawrence, and he was a monk that lived, I think it was in the 16th century, a very large monastery. And he was, if you like, the scullery maid. His place was in the kitchen. In this monastery, there were huge numbers of monks. And out of all of them, his name is the one that's most spoken, and he is the one that's most remembered, because he was absolutely addicted to practicing the presence of God. It didn't matter what he was doing, what he was saying, none of it mattered. It was all a great big love story between himself and God. And all the famous people around would come and see him. There's just one little line I want to read to you, but I don't want to get it incorrect. To this day, I just have a great soft spot for him. He says, by our persistent attention to God, persistent attention to God, we will break the cycle of harmfulness. We will break the cycle of harmfulness and make all weapons fall. And make all weapons fall. I think this is what we ought to be doing right now, all of us who are awake enough to do it in today's world. Because that's what we want, all weapons to fall. Or as the scriptures say, all of the weaponry will be turned into plowshares because peace will have come. What in God's name is it about us? Not stand peace for any great length of time. We have to do something to create a commotion or a disturbance. That's sad to me. However, now having said that, we have improved greatly. We have a long way to go, but we have improved greatly. But we get impatient the more we see clearly what could happen if. And then today's piece that Reverend Catherine read, calling each one of us to do something, whatever that is, to think some thought, to feel some feeling, to do some kindness, to do some deed, so that we can forward humanity, expand our awareness, and start being what we're here to be. Start being what we are here to be. Now, some of us have been here quite some time, and still we feel we're novices. We're just getting certain things clear. Just about. And we busy ourselves and we busy ourselves and we busy ourselves into oblivion at times. We think that if we're busy, that's a good thing. But for most of us, I think we're being busy so that we don't have to face ourselves or think about what really is wanting to be thought about within ourselves. People say a lot, I haven't got time, and no one knows how truth-filled those words are. All we have is this lifetime for this project we're on, for whatever it is we're here to realize. And I remember my mother used to say, the man who made time made plenty of it. But I interpret that in the sense of, you have enough time to do what you came here to do. Now, you could do what you like with the time. You can squander it or not. And you can come back around again. We can all, when the story of the 3 laborers for the master was told, one was given 5 pieces of gold or silver, whatever it was. And was told, go away and invest it and make more. Next one was given 3, same thing. Next was given 1. And so the 5 and the 3 went off, they invested, they made more money for their master when he came back. The other fellow thought, oh my God, what am I going to do with this? What if I don't succeed and achieve? I know what I will do, I'll just bury it. And when the master comes back, I'll give it back to him and say, I wasn't able to, I was afraid to invest it in case I would lose it and suffer your wrath. And as you know, the other 2 were admirably rewarded for what they had done, exactly what they were invited to do. And he was severely reprimanded for doing nothing. Now, how many times do you and I sit on our talents? Now, who would you associate yourself with in that parable? I associate myself with the fellow who buried it. Because none of us do all that we could do with what we're given. Some of us may bury it for a time, dig it up and look at it and say, maybe I could do something with it now, and then go, no, I don't think so. I don't want to lose it. So where is it in your life that you're not taking advantage of all your beauty and grace and talent? Where do you hesitate? Where do you hesitate? Are you more inclined to tell yourself what you cannot do rather than what you can do? Everybody can do so much. And yet, listening to conversations, it's not much I can do. I'm only one person. You only have to do for one person. You're not asked to do for the whole world. You just are invited to use what you have and use it wisely and well and fully. The story of the 5 virgins that were foolish and the 5 virgins that were wise suggests the same thing. The 5 wise ones prepared for the journey to the wedding feast. So they made sure that they had oil for their lamps and so on and so forth. Well, the other 5 didn't even give it a thought. They're probably like some people who say, I have time yet. And then when the time comes, they can't find any oil to trim their lamps. So they don't get into the wedding feast. They miss out. I always felt sorry for them, though. So I'm asking us today, where is there in our wonderful, beautiful trunk of good stuff that we came in with? Where is there in that trunk wonderful things that we haven't used yet? We haven't pulled out yet. We haven't taken them and use them as a blessing in our lives and in the lives of others. What is it, in other words, we're sitting on? What are we not doing that we could be doing? What are we not being that we could be being? We can always be more, no matter how wonderful we are. We can always be more. And not coming from that sense of, look at me, am I not great, like the Pharisees, carrying around with them their alms to give to the poor, given to the poor in places where they can be absolutely seen, given to the poor. And the 2 that go up to the temple to pray. I love all the parables, love them. And Jesus was saying, 2 men entered into the temple. One was a Pharisee and one was a sinner. And the Pharisee stood tall and said, "Oh Lord, am I not a wonderful person? Did I not give blah, 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 blah," and so on. And then he said, "And thank you for not making me like this man at the door." Because all the man at the door did was, he came inside the temple and he just said, "Lord, be merciful to me, a sinner." And Jesus said, "Do you know which of those men prayed the truest prayer?" We have been given far much more than we've recognized. We have been given far more than we have been willing to use for the benefit of life and others. And the thing about that is, if you make up your mind that you want to be somebody that makes a difference in life, that you want to be somebody that can influence in a good way, and you're not going to get that idea. You're not going to wake up one day and say, "I'm going to be an influencer." It doesn't happen like that for the real thing. You just find yourself doing things that you think to yourself, Gosh, I didn't think I could do that. And you do it. And it happens. And your life is so, so lighter as a result. So much more peaceful as a result. So much more inner joy as a result of all of that. And the only way you're going to be able to do it is to stop looking at what other people are doing. Stop it. Stop looking and comparing yourself with what other people are doing. Whatever it is that is theirs to do, they'll do it or not. In the meantime, you're wasting your sweetness on the desert air, depleting your energy, making yourself depressed. You just glory in the idea, oh my goodness me, here it is, a new day and I'm in it. And I can make a difference. I can make a difference. And it doesn't matter how big or small it is, I can make a difference today. And then play a game with yourself, be on the lookout in ways that you could make a difference. Wherever you are. It'll certainly keep your mind off yourself and all that you don't have and all that is wrong and so on. You're on the lookout. We're all God's scouts, so to speak, looking for ways to make a difference. To make somebody's light shine brighter. To make somebody's load a little less heavy. To put a smile where there was a frown. To make a difference in someone else's life, no matter how small, is to make a huge difference in your own. Now, if I can find the other little thing in this, and I wanted to share it as it was written. This piece was written by this is about forgiveness. It's the Forgive Yourself, Make Peace with Your Mistakes. It's the Psychology Today magazine. And there's a big article on forgiveness in there. And we have been told about the importance of forgiveness and forgiveness and forgiveness, and we must forgive and forgiveness and forgiveness. But what you get from this little article here is there's none of that going to happen until you first forgive the most significant person in your life, yourself. There's no forgiveness happening for anybody else until you first learn to forgive yourself. And it is a well-known, established fact that to forgive yourself is the hardest of all people to forgive. You hear me say it over and over again from time to time. We are the hardest on ourselves than anybody else could ever be. So I think that's a good prayer for us all to be praying regularly. Forgive me, for I know not what I do, because that's the truth. If we knew what we were doing, we wouldn't do it. Wouldn't dare do it. Not would we do it for anything, good or bad. He says, the bitter irony is that the people who perhaps most need and deserve to forgive themselves just can't do it. I bet you all know people who can't forgive themselves. You hear people say, I'll never forgive myself for that. That means you'll never forgive anything. There's only the self. When are we going to get that? There's only the self. You are your own laboratory. How you treat yourself is exactly how you're going to be treating people out in the world or under the roof of your family home. How you treat yourself is how you're going to treat others. And I don't know how long it takes for everybody to get that, but it takes a long time for most people. All right, where are you? If you need to express yourself here today, show up. That's what I'm saying. The commitment to a better present and future with regard to the self builds off acknowledgement and repair work. Repair work. The writer of this article says, and who wrote this article? Peg O'Connor, PhD. I couldn't find it. I'm not going to waste time looking for it. It's already blinking the light at me. I think it came up, I think it came up so that you and I could look to ourselves today and ask ourselves, what are we not forgiving ourselves for still? What pocket of cloudiness is still being carried around by me because I won't forgive myself for something? I think we should look at that. And this is the time to do, after all, it is the holy season of Lent. We should look at that and see what that is, because we're not going to ever feel fully whole until we do this. The only real work is forgiveness. Because in doing your forgiveness work, you realize there is no one to forgive except myself. And then no one to forgive at all after I forgive myself. All the various and sundry tones and textures and colors of each individualized expression of spirit as a self is in one great big huge tapestry and affects the whole thing. So maybe a little bit of gray that I need to change the color around. So what is going to be the outcome of you and I being here today? What will I go out the door resolving to be more of? I didn't say to do, did I? What will we resolve to be more of? So for that to happen, you and I have to keep the mirror of our perspective clean and clear. Because that's how we perceive the world, through the perspective of our own self. And we're running out of time on this plane to get it all done. And yet, we can get it all done. We were assigned to get it all done. We were given the ability to get it all done. So let's stop sitting on that buried coin and pull it up and interact with it and put it to work, put it to usage. If not now, when? You know, we still live our lives as though we have all the time in the world. That's why every day is more precious. Some famous person said, the longer I live, the more I understand how precious life is. And what a gift every day is. So I'm going to ask us, at least even for today, if we can remember it, what am I going to make of the gift of today? At the end of this day, how will I have spent my gift of this day? will it make me feel good? Will I go to sleep with a smile upon my face? Because I spent this day wisely and well. And it doesn't matter what condition we're in. It's nothing to do with the physical condition means very little. We don't know why somebody's carrying around this or carrying around that or carrying. Everybody's carrying around something. Just with physical conditions, you can see them. As Dr. I always smile when I think about Ernest Holmes. He's about to get into his car after having a night session at some center or another. And somebody comes up to him and says, you know, he said, if this teaching works so beautifully, why is it that you're wearing glasses? Without even thinking about it, he turned to the young man and said, kind of smilingly, Sir, I wear my mistake on my nose. Where do you wear yours? You know, nobody's claiming to be perfect in that sense, but delighted to have the teaching that we have, to know what we know. So what is it that you know, I'm asking you today? What is it that you truly know, that you have put under your belt, and you really know, that can act as a support system for you? Is there some little thing you want to handle today? Well, why not handle it? Don't wait until tomorrow. Handle some little thing today. Make someone happy today in some small way or big way. Make a difference in life today and be aware of the difference you're making. When you feel like frowning and drooping your shoulders, straighten up your shoulders and put a smile on your face. Add to the beautiful energy in life and living. Some of the greatest saints had terrible, painful conditions, and yet they were aglow with smiling energy. And I'm not saying you have to suffer like that. You do not. Not at all. That's a personal thing we take upon ourselves, which is admirable and noble because that's the way that soul has chosen it. But you can also be a St. Augustine, who lived a debauched life for so long, and his mother's prayers, they say, saved him. His mother would plead with him, say, yes, Mom, I will be good, but not today, wait until tomorrow. And it was always mañana for Augustine until it wasn't, you know? And he became one of the most amazing doctors of the church, teachers. So what are you going to be today? When you go out through those doors, how do you want to go out there? As what? As what? How will you influence the world today? I'm knowing a great day is ahead of each and every one of you in this room and those of you looking in. Always make this a game, a spiritual game. It's much more fun when you make it a game, because all of life is one great big game. Now make sure the game that you're playing is fun, and it's taking you to where you want to go on the game board. And even if you're taken over here or over there, your eye is where the end result is, the destination. Have fun with whatever it is you're doing. In other words, keep it light. There'll be heavy things for you to contend with in it, but keep it light. You'll just say, well, this is interesting. I was not expecting this. Ah, but where's the good that's going to come out of it? Do you like that little girl, schoolgirl who was working in Joanne's and said to me, and I'll never stop telling you that story because she amazed me. I came up with 2 big overflowing trolleys Christmas time. And I thought, she's going to not like me. And then I canceled that thought. And she looked at me and she said, bring it on. She taught me a valuable lesson. So when your cart is overflowing, bring it on, because I'm not the only one here. Spirit in me will take care of this, no problem. And that's what happens. So we have to stop here now because there's shining light all over the place, and our time together goes by very, very quickly, and you need to get out into the world and be your best self and influence up and down the yin-yang, so that by the time nighttime comes around, you'll just lie on that pillow sweetly and know, this was a good day. This was a good day. Yes?